is Whitney. I am a college life leader at NKU.
Okay. And what was your life like before you met Jesus?
My life before Jesus, from an outside perspective, it looked pretty good. I was the young life kid in high school. I cared a lot about like my image and my identity. So I got good grades. I played sports. Like I did all the right things. But beneath the surface, I think that I was living in a lot of like shame and guilt from like how I was living and the fact that all these things I was running to, they would like satisfy me until they failed. Like for example, relationships were a big thing for me. Something that like I looked for a lot of hope and put a lot of my identity in. If I'm not someone's and if I'm not like accepted by them, like what's the purpose of my life? And that led me to a lot of like sexual sin, which ultimately led me to a lot of shame and guilt and like not knowing who I was without the acceptance of other people. A lot of numbness to the world and like numbness to my emotions and my feelings, which ultimately led to anger and pretty much just like going through the motions of my life, not really caring about other people or how I was affecting them, but just like seeking the interest of myself.
How did you meet Jesus?
So I met Jesus. I fully surrendered my life to Jesus my junior year. Up until that point, I would say that I knew God and I believed in Him, and I even like had a relationship with Him, but I was not all in with Him until my junior year. My junior year, I went to a summer camp, and at the camp, I was dating this guy for like a little over a year, and he broke up with me. And at that time, I had so much hope into people and so much hope into relationships and like being someone's. And when I lost that, I was at a point where I remember like crying out to God and being like, God, if it's not this, then like what else? Like, what do you have to offer me? Me coming to like nothing and me being like, all of these things are failing me. The world is failing me. People are failing me. Lord, like, if you're it, like, will you like meet me here? And He did. And He like met me so patiently and like kindly then, and was like, I have been here the whole time, and like I have everything you need, and I offer you everything, like love forever, acceptance forever. And at that point, I was like, if it's not you, like I have nothing else. And I felt a lot of embrace from Him and acceptance from Him in that time. And He was, looking back now, it's funny like how patient He was with me as like a 16-year-old girl who had nothing to offer Him. But like His character is so good, and He isn't looking for anything in return, and like He realizes that we have like nothing to offer Him, but He has like everything to offer us. And at that camp was the first time that I fully said yes to Christ and was fully like, Lord, you can have everything. You can have my whole life. And at that point, I slowly started saying yes and slowly surrendering and learning more of His character and His goodness and realizing like He was worthy of my attention the whole time, and He's worthy of my attention now. And His character was like never changing, but I'm like constantly running away, and He's constantly running after me. And my life didn't like drastically change after that, and all of my problems like weren't fixed after that. But after that day, I made these small like choices to follow God, and these small choices to like surrender my comfort and surrender my desires and like consider like, Lord, like will you like save me? Will you redeem these things? Because all of them are like failing me. So yeah, he met me there.
Did anyone lead you to Jesus?
Yeah, I think there were multiple people in my life that the Lord had put in my life to encourage me and challenge me and call me out in my sin. And still, like, to this day, I feel like people are still like leading me to Jesus. I don't think it's like a one-time thing. Choosing Jesus and like living a life with him is a daily choice and like a moment by moment choice. And looking back, I don't think there was one person that was like, this person told me the gospel, but there were multiple people not only telling me the gospel, but also like living out the gospel and showing me what it was like to be like loved like Christ loves me. And through that, multiple people were leading me to him.
And what has your life been like after Jesus?
So after like fully surrendering to the Lord, I've experienced a lot of freedom, freedom of shame and guilt of like how I was living in my past. He has been so patient with me because even after saying yes to him and like after surrendering to him, I like still choose to go back and I still choose to like put my hope in the things of this world. And I feel like it's been this process of me like slowly surrendering more and more to him. And life now, it hasn't gotten any easier. Like life with Jesus is hard and it's for sure like the harder path, but I experience joy that doesn't change. I experience love that is like fighting for me, that doesn't end, that is unconditional, like despite how I act or what I have to offer. So if I had to like summarize what my life is like after Christ, it's just like full. Like my life just feels full. I don't feel like I'm ever longing for anything else because he is like fully enough for me. But it's like a fight and it's a battle and it's a choice to choose him every day.
What's the biggest impact Jesus has had on your life?
The biggest impact that Jesus has had on my life, I would say, is the freedom that I've experienced from him. The freedom of like this world, the freedom of shame and guilt in my sin, and in that like remembering that my sin has been paid for and that it's been paid for in full, and not just the sin that I committed before saying yes to him, but the sin that I like continue to say yes to now. It's been paid for on the cross, and when he defeated death, it was finished then. Like my sin was dealt with in full then, and that allows me to have so much freedom because my eternity isn't based off of my works. My eternity isn't based off of how good of a Christian I am or how good of a college life leader I am. It's based on the cross and it's based on what the Lord's done for me. And that lets me live in like complete freedom, in complete fullness, and like joy and peace. And all of those things are added to my life because of what he did for me.
Is there any scripture that like you feel relates to the way that Jesus has given you freedom?
Yeah. There's a story in John, and it's about a Samaritan woman, and she goes to draw water in the middle of the day, which is like completely not like the culture of that time because it was like burning up in the middle of the day. But she had to go there because she was an outcast, specifically because of her sexual sin, and she wasn't really like accepted by the people in her town. So she goes to this well to draw water, and Jesus meets her there. He ends up like telling her sin, and she's like, "Who are you? Like, I already know my sin. Like, what are you just here to like bring more shame to me?" And he ends up telling her like, "I like fully accept you, and yes, I know all of your sin, but like I love you anyways, and I came here to like die for your sin so that you can know me." And the way that he met her there, like in the midst of her being an enemy to him, and then speaking life into her and saying, yeah, but I love you anyways, and like, yes, I know this way that you're living, but I'm gonna like choose to come down in the midst of your sin, in the midst of your filth, and I'm gonna like be here and at this well with you, and then I'm gonna like walk out of here with you. And I think that like I relate a lot to that, and the fact of he came and met me like where I was at, not knowing him, having nothing to offer him, and he like has walked with me every step after that to like know him more and to like continue to like save me and rescue me. So yeah, I love that story.